In this video, I'm going to show you how to use this Cami tool to create your digital notes. I need you to have this Cami page pulled up, the divisibility rules, and this is where you're going to take your notes. And then I also need you to have pulled up the video that I created for you so that as you listen to my video and I'm filling in the notes in the video, you can fill in the same notes on your own document at the same time. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to click on text box. There's a T here, and then I want you to choose what color you want to write in. And then you're going to click up here at the top, and I want you to write your first and last name up here. And it wants me to save, sure, that sounds good. And it's going to have me do it with my Google account. Click allow. Excellent. I want you to kind of see everything that I have to go through because you're going to have to go through the same thing while you're taking your notes. Now, I'm not liking how this looks. I want this to be zoomed out a little bit, so I'm going to choose 90%. So I just press the minus sign to zoom out. So I have my first and last name. If I want to move it, I can move it. All right, I'm happy with it there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here and maybe I decide that I want to write in red this time. So I'm going to change to red and I'm going to write the definition for divisibility. So divisible means, the definition for divisible. Divisible means able to be divided by without a remainder. Now I chose size 24, but you could change the font size. Let's see if when I highlight this can give me a different font size. So we'll try 18 and you'll see that it changes. If I want to change the color, look, it just changes the color right there as if I've highlighted it. Okay, I want to go back to 24. I like that size. You can choose the size that you want to use. All right, so divisible means able to be divided by without a remainder. Here's another cool feature. You can choose a word like this, go up to the dictionary, and the dictionary will actually give you a definition. Let's see if I can get this to work. Maybe I click dictionary first and then highlight the word. Oh, there we go. So I had to click dictionary first and then highlight the word. And it says capable of being divided. That's not the definition when it comes to math. We need this one. Containing another number, a number of times without a remainder. So do you see how that is similar to the definition I wrote? Now, I like the way I wrote it better, so that's why I wrote it this way, but that's just another feature that's cool. Another thing I want to show you really quick is this text-to-speech. So when I click text-to-speech, then what I can do is I can highlight a section that I want read out loud.
Divisible, able to be divided by.
Okay, so I hope you were able to hear that, but it read it out loud. You can even over here, you can change the voice. So you could change from English to US English to maybe UK English. Okay, so let's try it again.
Divisible, able to be divided by.
Okay, wow, I think that sounded actually even better. That was a good voice choice. Let's say you want it read in Spanish. Here we go.
Divisible, able to be divided by.
So this is a great tool for you if, I'm going to switch back to the UK. I thought that was great. But this is a great tool for you if you would like it read out loud to you. Let's keep moving with our notes. A number is divisible by 2 if the number in the ones place. So now I'm going to go ahead and choose a color to represent the 2 rule. So I'm going to actually go to markup because I want to show you something else. And I'm going to choose the box highlighter. And then I'm going to use blue for these notes. And the box highlighter will actually highlight, I can highlight the whole number. So I want to give this 2 rule a blue theme. Then I'm going to go back to the text box and I'm going to select the blue writing. And then I'm going to type in, I'm going to move this up a little, ones place. So a number is divisible by 2 if the number in the ones place is even. Okay, and the even numbers are 0 2, 4, 6, and 8. Okay, so a number is divisible by 2 if the number in the ones place is even. So now we're going to write in some examples. To write in the examples, I'm going to have you use the drawing tool, and I actually like it on a size 1. It seems to be pretty thin and easy to write with. So I'm going to stick with my blue theme, and I'm going to start writing in my examples. So here's some examples for divisible by 2. 18 is divisible by 2, and I want you to underline the 8 because the 8 is even, which means that 18 is even and it's divisible by 2. Remember, if the number in the ones place, this is the ones place, is even, you can divide it by 2. All right, here's a number that's not divisible by 2, 403, because the number in the ones place is odd. All right, here's another one that's divisible by 2. 100 is divisible by 2 because it ends in 0. See zeros up here and down here. That's an even number, so it's divisible by 2. 100 is divisible by 2. Let's give another one that's divisible by 2. 54 is divisible by 2. Here's another one that's not divisible by 2. 15, because this number is not even. 5 is not even. Let's give another one that's not divisible by 2. 7 is not an even number, so you can't divide 27 by 2 without a remainder. All right, so let's keep on going with our notes. I gave that a blue theme. So I'm going to choose a different theme for this next set. I'm going to go back up to markup so I can highlight. And I'm going to highlight, let's see what color I want to use. I like the idea of using, let's use a purple. All right, and then, and if you want your theme to be different, go right ahead and choose the color that you want. I'm just going to use purple for 3s. A number is divisible by 3 if the, now I need to go back to the text box, and I'm going to use purple for my theme. So if the sum of the digits is a, let me click over here, multiple, might need to move it up a little bit higher, multiple of 3. Okay, so numbers is divisible by 3 if the sum of the digits is a multiple of 3. So I'm going to give some examples that we're going to work out over here on the left. So I'm going to go back to the drawing tool. Let me look and see what examples I'm going to give you. Okay, so the first example I'm going to have us try is this 1,287. So what we need to do is we need to add all the digits together. So we're going to find the sum. One plus 2 plus 8 plus 7. So I'm going to add this section together and this section together. 1 and 2 makes 3. 8 and 7 makes 15. And 3 and 15 together makes 18. And then you have to ask yourself, once you find the sum, is this sum a multiple of 3? And 18 is a multiple of 3. So that means that 1,287 is a multiple of 3. Now when I went to the drawing, I forgot to change it to purple, so I messed up my theme, but oh well. Okay, so let's, 1,287 is divisible by 3. I hope I said that. Because when you find the sum of these digits, you get 18, which is a multiple of 3. All right, let's look at another example. How about 356? 356. And to save some time, I'm just going to add this in my head. So 3 plus 5 is 8, plus 6 equals 14. 14 is not a multiple of 3, so that means 356 is not divisible by 3, so it needs to go in this column on the right side. All right, moving on. All right, the 5s rule. So let's go up to the markup again, and I want to highlight, and I want a different theme. So I'm going to use orange for my theme. A number is divisible by 5 if the number in the ones place is a 0 or a 5. So I go down to the text box. Let's see if I have a nice orange. I don't know if that orange is dark enough, so let's see. The number in the ones place. Yes, I can see that. That looks great. Is a 0. Need to move that up a bit. Or a 5. All right, and then let's just list some examples that are divisible by 5. Let's go back to the drawing, and I'm going to choose orange. And here's some examples that are divisible by 5. 85, because the number in the ones place is a 5. 90, because the number in the ones place is a 0. 45, because the number in the ones place is a 5. And we'll write one more example. 30, because the number in the ones place is a 0. Remember, if a 0 or 5 is in the ones place, you can divide it by 5 without a remainder. Now, some examples of ones that are not divisible by 5. 14 is not. 57 is not. I don't know. 13 is not, because these numbers in the one place are not a 0 or a 5. All right, moving on to the tens. So I'm going to pick a new color theme. Let's go to markup, box highlighter. I want a whole box. And then I'm going to go with green. So a green theme this time. A number is divisible by 10 if the number in the ones place is a 10. So I need to go to the text box and I need to pick a green that will show up. So the number in the ones place is a 10. Oh, and I went to the eraser. I guess I might as well show you the eraser. If I don't like that, I can just erase it. I can even erase the highlighting, but I'm not going to do that right now. All right, let's go back to the text box, and I go to, all right, ones place is a, oh, and I said 10. I meant to say 0. So if the number, if the number in the ones place is a 0, then you know it's divisible by 10. So now let's write some examples. I don't know where that came from. These boxes down here, so let's see if I can select that. I'm gonna try to delete that. Okay, maybe I'll use an eraser instead. There we go. Okay, I got rid of that. Sorry about that, guys. All right, let's go to the drawing, and I want to choose green. And some numbers divisible by 10 would be 70, 810, 5, 40. There's some examples. Basically, if it ends in 0, you can divide it by 10 without a remainder. And some numbers that wouldn't be divisible by 10 would be 75, 18, because those numbers do not end in 0. This is a number that we haven't talked about before. All right, so this is the 7 rule. Now, I say the 7 rule, but there's not really a 7 rule. In fact, this is the rule we're going to write. To see if a number can be divided by 7, just divide it by 7. So just try to divide it by 7 and see if you get a remainder or not. If you don't get a remainder, then it's divisible by 7. If you do get a remainder, then it's not divisible by 7. So let's pick another theme. I go to markup, and I'm going to go with red for the 7s. Go to the text box. I'm going to choose red again. To see if a number is divisible by 7, divide it by 7. Okay, and somehow I clicked off of text box, but I'll go back. Okay, 7. And then I just need to move all of these so that I can actually read it. And then we're just going to do 2 examples. So the first example, let's see, the first example I have for you is 91. So I'm going to go to my drawing tool. I'm going to select red, and we're going to try 91. I want you to guess in your head whether you think this is divisible by 7. And now let's try it. 7 goes into 9 one time. 1 times 7 is 7. 9 minus 7, we get a remainder of 2. Bring down the 1. 7 goes into 21 exactly 3 times. 3 times 7 is 21. We get a remainder of 0. So this 7 went into 91 13 times, and there was no remainder. We have 0 at the bottom here, and there's no number to bring down. So we know that 91 is divisible by 7 because we divided it by 7 and there was no remainder. Let's try another example. 85. 7 goes into 8 one time. 8 minus 7 is 1. Bring down the 5. 7 goes into 15 two times. 7 times 2 is 14. We subtract and we're left with 1. And since there's a 1 and there's no other number to bring down, I have to add a decimal and then add a 0 and bring a 0 down. 7 goes into 10 once. And really, it's going to keep going. But the thing is that as soon as you see there's a decimal, it doesn't come out perfectly like this one, we know that there was a remainder. And if there's a remainder, it means that 85 was not divisible by 7. To be divisible by a number, it has to be able to be divided without a remainder, without anything left over. All right, so we talked about the 7s. When you want to see what else a number is divisible by, what other possibilities are there besides 2, 3, 5, 7, and 10? Well, the other options are your prime numbers. So choose a color for this. Oh, I should go to text box. Then your other options are prime numbers, and I just feel like putting this in all caps. So prime numbers. Remember, your prime numbers are those numbers that can only be divided by themselves and 1. So let's fill in a couple of these, and I'm going to use the drawing tool for this. So actually, the first set of prime numbers are the same as some of these numbers up here. So 2, 3, 5. Okay, 7's a prime number, 11, 13. The next one here, what do you think that is? I hope you said 17. And think about it. 17 can only be divided by 17, or it can be divided by 1. There's no other number you can divide that by. All right, so when you're checking to see if numbers are divisible by something, the only things you have to check are 2, 3, 5, 7. I want you to check 10, and then the prime numbers. And then you'll know, once you've checked all those things, that you've checked every number you need to check. Now, the next question is, why do we not memorize a rule for these numbers? So for example, for 4, why don't we have a rule for 4? Why do we only have a rule for these numbers? So let me explain. If you think about your factor trees from last year, 4 is made up of the factors 2 and 2, 2 times 2. So if you know that a number is divisible by 2 times, that's the same as knowing it's divisible by 4. For example, let me grab the example I was going to use. Okay, let's say you're working with the number 28. If you were to divide that number by 2, we know that this number is even, so we know we could divide it by 2. We would get 14. Then we know 14 is even, so we would divide it by 2 again, and we would get 7. All right, well, dividing by 2 twice is the same as dividing by 4. Look, 28 divided by 4 is also 7. So if you know your 2 rule, you could just divide 28 by 2 times and still get down to 7 without knowing a rule for a 4. The same idea with 6. 6 is made up of 3 times 2. So think about it. Let's take the number 30. All right, let's say we divide 30 by 3 and we get 10. And then we divide 10 by 2 and get 5. Well, dividing by 3 and then dividing by 2 is the same as taking 30 and dividing it by 6. You would get 5. So if we know our 3 rule and our 2 rule, we're going to divide it by 3 and by 2 and end up at 5, just the same as if we would have known a 6 rule. So this is basically my explanation to you, is that all of these numbers are made up of numbers that we already have rules for. So 8 is made up of 2 times 2 times 2. We already have a 2 rule, so we don't need a rule for 8. The 9s, they're made up of 3 times 3. We already have a 3 rule. Oh, sorry, up here's the 3. That's the prime numbers. So we don't need a rule for 9. For 7, we don't have a rule because the rule for 7s is ridiculous, and it's better to just try to divide it by 7. For example, let me read you a rule people use for 7s, just so that you know how ridiculous it is. Here's the 7 rule. To determine if a number is divisible by 7, take the last digit off the number, double it, and subtract the doubled number from the remaining number. If the result is evenly divisible by 7, then the number is divisible by 7. This may need to be repeated several times. That was a crazy rule, so I'd rather you just know that you have to just check for 7, so you have to try dividing it by 7. And then for 1s, we don't have a rule because let's say you divide something by 1, you do not change it if you divide by 1. For example, 2 divided by 1 gives you 2, and 5 divided by 1 gives you 5. The 5 didn't change, the 2 didn't change, so we don't need a rule for 1s because it won't affect the number. Now these notes became way longer than I expected, so I'm not actually going to attach these examples at the bottom. So we're done with our first set of Kami notes.